Welcome back to another episode of Eric's Camping Adventures. Today I have to deal with a check engine light for low cat efficiency. Well, hey, welcome back. Today we are getting ready for the next adventure, and as I was climbing Lennox Ridge out at Billy Creek Recreation Area, I generated a check engine light going up the hill, and it was an old check engine light. It had come on once before around Christmas time, then it went off on its own, and it came back again. It's the low efficiency of bank 1 of the first catalytic converter, which is a P0420 code. So I am not going to do lacquer thinner in my motor. I am not going to put one of the spark plug little deals that retracts the oxygen sensor out of the catalytic converter. I'm just going to put a new catalytic converter on. I'm going to walk you through the process. It's hard for me to think about going on a long adventure and being desensitized to that check engine light. So all this plastic needs to come off. To be able to get down in here, I need to pull the fan off, and down in deep behind all this stuff, catalytic converter is right down there. And then from underneath on the bottom side, all I have to do is pull off this No-Low Designs little underbody protection, and I should have easy access straight up. So let's get started. So the way I came to the conclusion that this needed to be changed was I went to AutoZone, did a code read, and it came up with bank 1 cat had to be changed. And I researched online which catalytic converter bank 1 was, and it comes up as the one in the front of the motor. I saw some online forums where I don't know if it was misinformation or what, but they said it was the firewall was bank 1. Don't believe that. I changed this catalytic converter with 3 starts. Everything worked out. The computer reset itself, reading efficiency of bank 1 catalytic converter. I'm going to loosen the radiator mount just so it'll give me just a little more space to be able to get in here. Not only to slide out the catalytic converter later, but also to get the fans off a little bit easier. I don't know which furniture kit this little 10mm thing came from, but you can see it's bent and overused. But I'm going to tell you what, it has come in handier for work on my cars than anything, because it's so thin. It just slips right in there on the 10mm. The mud on my engine cover is from last fall at the Oklahoma Overland Rally. Never cleaned it up. It's going to get cleaned up today. The No-Low Design skid plate is a pretty easy removal. There's just 4 bolts in the front, 2 in the back. I had put blue thread locker on them as recommended by No-Low Designs, and we'll just put that back together here in a bit. So I have gotten into getting this catalytic converter out, and it's a little more than I thought it was, but it's still not complex. I did have to remove the front grille, remove the mounts for the radiator, and just bend it forward to get a fan out. That gives me access to the catalytic converter. And you can see down in here, the sensor is out the top, and I'm just going to do a little bit of penetrant on these bolts. I would say that this task is kind of a moderate difficulty once you create the space to remove the catalytic converter by loosening the radiator mounts and including the radiator hose on the top. Then you can get things out. Now, you got to drain a little radiator fluid in order to not make a mess, so do that first, then loosen your radiator hose, then you can tip your radiator forward, then you've got all the space you need to undo your bolts. It's just a 12 millimeter to loosen the nuts that are on the studs that go into the exhaust manifold. The important part of this is sequencing making the space. Getting that grill off, the radiator forward first is much better. Then you can get to everything. If you just go into this thinking you're going to dig it out somehow without first doing that, very frustrating. If you see that silver tube right there, that is an air line that runs to the bottom of the catalytic converter. If I were doing this over again, I would remove it from the top rather than deal with the number of times it catches on its bolts at the bottom of the catalytic converter. Just snapped back on down at the bottom. Did you hit that? I ordered a Eastern catalytic replacement converter from Rock Auto. Very nice, a box inside of a box. What is this, like a gag gift? Anyway, it turned out okay. It was original equipment. It bolted up pretty easily. It was not exactly the same size, so remember when you mount this again that there is a bracket on the bottom of the catalytic converter to the engine, and you just want to loosen that so there's just a little bit more tolerance to put on the replacement. One thing you absolutely need to do is take the heat shield off of the old catalytic converter, put it back onto the new one. It's going to look the same when you put it back in. Just make sure you switch the catalytic converter. I am just snugging these down with a standard ratchet at the moment, but make sure you torque them to the right specifications. This did take about 6 hours. It did take some planning for sequencing. Had I watched a YouTube video where there was some great sequencing and planning, it would have saved me some time. But just make sure the grill comes off first, you get your air conditioning condenser, your radiator forward, then you got your space. Then things will be much simpler going forward. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. Well, that's just pretty beautiful. We got her all done, and it was a little bit of work to do it. Again, it's the sequencing of how you get that catalytic converter out, but it was worth it.